They almost lost her. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan's adopted daughter in danger send shockwaves through. Beijing was still asleep when the first whispers began. By sunrise, the whispers had become a roar, shaking fan communities across the globe. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan's beloved adopted daughter, Mei Lin, had been rushed to the hospital after a terrifying late-night emergency. And for those who have followed the couple's journey, the public battles, the quiet reconciliations, the stolen moments caught by an eagle-eyed fan lens, this wasn't just news. It was heartbreak. The night that changed everything. It began on what was supposed to be an ordinary Friday evening. Wang Yibo had just returned from a grueling dance rehearsal, sweat still clinging to his temples, while Xiao Zhan was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, preparing Mei Lin's favorite homemade dumplings. The laughter in their home was warm that night. Mei Lin, a bright-eyed 6-year-old with a mischievous smile and a laugh that could soften even the coldest day, was coloring on the living room floor, occasionally dashing in to sneak bits of dough from her Baba Zhao's counter. But somewhere between the hum of domestic bliss and the scent of fresh ginger rising from the pot, the first warning came, a small, almost unnoticeable cough. From playful giggles to panic. At first, neither man thought much of it. Mei Lin often had seasonal sniffles. But within minutes, her cough deepened. She clutched her small chest and looked up at them with wide, frightened eyes. The dumpling ladle clattered to the counter. Xiao Zhan. Mei? Sweetheart, are you okay? No answer, just more coughing, sharper now, followed by a wheeze that made Wang Yibo's stomach drop. Wang Yibo. Xiao Zhan. Get the car now. The drive through empty streets. They didn't wait for an ambulance. Wang Yibo scooped Mei Lin into his arms, her tiny fingers gripping the collar of his hoodie, as if afraid to let go. Xiao Zhan was already at the door, keys in hand, heart pounding loud enough that he swore it was echoing in the hallway. Beijing streets felt endless that night. Traffic lights blurred past as Xiao Zhan drove with a single-minded focus, one hand gripping the wheel, the other reaching across the console to touch Mei Lin's knee, as though making sure she was still there. Xiao Zhan. Stay with us, Mei. Just breathe. We're almost there. Wang Yibo, in the back seat, whispered encouragements in her ear, rocking her gently. His normally steady voice cracked. Wang Yibo. You're okay, baby. Baba's right here. We've got you. The hospital rush. When they burst through the sliding glass doors of the emergency wing, the world seemed to narrow to white coats, bright lights, and the sterile scent of antiseptic. A nurse moved toward them immediately, her voice urgent yet calm. Nurse, we'll take her now, sir. Please let go. We need to move quickly. It took everything in Wang Yibo to release her. The moment her small body was wheeled away on the gurney, a shiver ran through him that had nothing to do with the cold. Xiao Zhan's hand found his, without thinking. No words, just a desperate squeeze. Minutes felt like hours. They sat in the hallway, the faint sound of medical equipment and hurried footsteps the only soundtrack. Wang Yibo leaned forward, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. Xiao Zhan sat beside him, staring at the floor but seeing nothing. Xiao Zhan, whispering, I should have noticed sooner. I should have. Wang Yibo shook his head. Wang Yibo, don't. This isn't your fault. She's strong. She'll get through this. But his voice trembled. The moment of truth. When the doctor finally emerged, his face was serious but not grim. Doctor. She had a severe allergic reaction. We stabilized her, but it was close. Too close. If you hadn't brought her in when you did. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Xiao Zhan's breath caught. Wang Yibo closed his eyes for a long moment, the weight of relief and terror crashing down together. By her side, when they were finally allowed into her room, Mei Lin was curled beneath crisp white sheets, an oxygen tube resting gently under her nose. Her small chest rose and fell in steady rhythm now, though her cheeks were still pale. Xiao Zhan brushed a stray strand of hair from her forehead, his thumb lingering there as though to remind himself she was warm, alive. Xiao Zhan. You scared Baba today, little one. Wang Yibo pulled up a chair on the other side, taking her tiny hand into his much larger one. Wang Yibo. No more scary nights, okay? You're our everything. News spreads like wildfire. Despite their best efforts to keep it private, someone had spotted them rushing into the hospital and leaked grainy photos online. By morning, #PrayForMeilin was trending across multiple platforms. Fans flooded comment sections with messages of support. She's the light of their life. Please let her be okay. I've never seen Yibo look that scared. This must be serious. Protect Meilin at all costs. A private conversation in the dark. That night, after Meilin finally drifted to sleep, the room was bathed in the dim glow of the heart monitor. Xiao Zhan leaned back in his chair, exhaustion pulling at his every muscle. Wang Yibo sat beside him, their knees brushing in the small space between the hospital beds and wall. Wang Yibo, I can't lose her, Xiao Zhan. I can't. Xiao Zhan, you won't. We won't. Their eyes met, and for a moment the unspoken history between them. Every fight, every public storm, every quiet reconciliation, hung in the air. What comes next? Doctors assured them Meilin would make a full recovery with rest and care. But for Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, this wasn't just about recovery. It was a reminder of how fragile life was, how quickly happiness could tilt into fear. As they left the hospital days later, Meilin safe in Xiao Zhan's arms, the two exchanged a look that didn't need words. Nothing would come before her again. And for their fans, the sight of the three together, hand in hand, walking into the Beijing sun, wasn't just reassuring. It was unforgettable. The bright fluorescent light above flickered once, as if even the hospital itself was tired. The waiting room was nearly empty, but to Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, it felt suffocating, too small to hold the weight of their fear. Xiao Zhan paced along the edge of the room, hands stuffed into his pockets, his knuckles pressing white against the fabric. His usually calm expression was cracked, revealing something raw beneath: panic, guilt, and a desperate need for answers. Wang Yibo sat slouched forward, elbows digging into his knees, fingers laced tightly together. His eyes were fixed on the closed double doors that separated them from Meilin, like a soldier watching a battlefield he wasn't allowed to enter. The weight of silence. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Neither spoke. Every sound in the room seemed louder than it should be. The distant hum of the vending machine, the quiet cough of an elderly man in the far corner, the faint beeping of a heart monitor down the hall. Finally, Xiao Zhan stopped pacing and turned toward him. Xiao Zhan. Yibo, what if? Wang Yibo, sharply, don't finish that sentence. His voice was low, but it carried a warning, a plea. Xiao Zhan swallowed hard and sat down beside him, their shoulders nearly touching. Flashes of memory. While they sat, memories began to sneak in uninvited, tiny flashes of Meilin's smile, her first day at school, the way she ran to the door every time they came home. Wang Yibo closed his eyes and saw her at the park last weekend, swinging so high her little shoes almost flew off. She'd been laughing so hard that her cheeks turned red. Wang Yibo, whispering to himself, not her. Not now. The argument they couldn't avoid. Tension had been building between them all evening, the kind born not of anger but of fear. It finally broke when Xiao Zhan ran a trembling hand through his hair and said, Xiao Zhan, I should have known something was wrong earlier. She coughed twice before dinner. I should have checked. Wang Yibo's head snapped up, eyes narrowing. Wang Yibo, you think I didn't notice? I did. But she seemed fine. We both thought she was fine. Stop blaming yourself. Xiao Zhan. But if I... Wang Yibo, cutting him off, if you keep talking like this, you're going to drown before we even know she's safe. We can't fall apart right now. The words hung in the air, sharp but true. Xiao Zhan looked away, jaw tight, and Yibo reached out, hesitant at first, before placing his hand over Xiao Zhan's. The door opens. A nurse emerged briefly to update them. Nurse, we're running tests and giving her treatment. She's responding, but her breathing is still unstable. Just keep waiting. We'll let you know when you can see her. She disappeared back inside, and the doors swung shut again, locking them out of the one place they wanted to be. The phone call. Xiao Zhan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He almost didn't answer, but when he saw the caller ID, his mother, he picked up. Her voice was frantic on the other end, already knowing something had happened from online rumors. Xiao Zhan's words were steady, but his grip on the phone was so tight his knuckles whitened. Xiao Zhan. She's in good hands, Mama. We're here. We're not leaving. Wang Yibo pretended not to listen, but every syllable landed on him like a weight. The breaking point. When the call ended, Xiao Zhan slumped back in the chair, covering his face with both hands. His breathing hitched, and before he could stop himself, a single tear slid down his cheek. That was the moment Wang Yibo reached out, cupping the side of his face and forcing him to look up. Wang Yibo, listen to me. She's stronger than both of us combined. You've seen it. She's going to fight her way back to us. Xiao Zhan didn't answer. He just nodded, because words would have broken him in two. The clock that wouldn't move. Time became meaningless. The wall clock ticked on, but every minute stretched longer than the last. They sat in an odd rhythm, Xiao Zhan getting up to pace whenever the silence became too much, Wang Yibo staying rooted in his chair as though he might miss something if he moved. Occasionally, a doctor or nurse would pass by and both would straighten instantly, only to slump again when they walked past without stopping. The whispered promise. In a moment of stillness, Wang Yibo leaned closer and spoke in a tone so low it was barely audible. Wang Yibo, if we get her through this, no more missed dinners, no more long shoots without one of us at home. I don't care what it costs. Xiao Zhan's lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile, sad but sincere. Xiao Zhan. Deal. Finally, just past midnight, the double doors opened again. This time it was the doctor. Doctor, she's stabilized. You can see her now. Neither man waited for the rest of the explanation. They were already on their feet, moving in unison toward the room. The waiting was over, but the memory of those hours, the crushing silence, the arguments born of fear, the whispered promises, would never leave them.